Have you ever stopped to think that behind the lightsabers, spaceships, and epic battles, there may be a deeper layer of meaning? That's exactly what we're going to explore today. Alchemy in Star Wars. We're going to dive into an ocean of symbolism, where every character, every journey, every conflict takes on a new meaning. We're not just talking about a story of good versus evil, but a narrative rich in alchemical metaphors that reflect the human journey itself in search of transformation and enlightenment. Let's begin our exploration with the central hero of the original trilogy, Luke Skywalker. At first glance, Luke is just a young farmer from a distant planet who becomes a galactic hero. But under the lens of alchemy, Luke takes on a much deeper role. He is the alchemist, the tireless seeker of knowledge and transformation. His journey to master the Force is not just a training of Jedi skills, but an alchemical quest for the Philosopher's Stone, a symbol of perfection and enlightenment. Think about how Luke evolves throughout the saga. He starts out as a naive young man, full of doubts and fears. But with each challenge, with each lesson learned from his masters, he is transformed. It's as if Luke is going through the alchemical stages of purification and refinement. He faces his fears in the cave of Dagobah, faces the temptation of the dark side, and finally reaches a state of wisdom and balance. This progression from ignorance to knowledge, from immaturity to wisdom, is central to both Luke's journey and the principles of alchemy. Now, let's take a leap to the darker side of the Force and talk about one of the most iconic figures in cinema, Darth Vader, or as we first knew him, Anakin Skywalker. If Luke represents the alchemist in search of enlightenment, Vader embodies the duality and internal conflict so crucial to alchemical thinking. His story is a vivid representation of the struggle between light and darkness, comparable to the battle between sun and moon in alchemical texts. Anakin's transformation into Darth Vader is particularly significant from an alchemical point of view. This dark moment represents the Nigredo, the phase of decomposition or Black Death in alchemy. It is the moment when everything must be destroyed before it can be rebuilt. Vader, in his black suit, breathing artificially, is the personification of this phase. But alchemy doesn't stop at destruction. Vader's eventual redemption, his return to the light, symbolizes the albedo, the phase of purification and rebirth. It is a powerful reminder that even in the depths of darkness, there is the possibility of transformation and redemption. Now, let's turn our attention to two essential characters in Luke's journey, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. On the surface, they are Jedi Masters, mentors who guide Luke on his path to becoming a Jedi Knight. But through the lens of alchemy, they take on an even deeper and more symbolic role. Obi-Wan and Yoda can be seen as manifestations of the Mercurius of the alchemical tradition, the guiding spirit that leads the alchemist through his journey of transformation. Think of how Obi-Wan appears to Luke at the crucial moment, calling him to adventure, just as the Mercurius calls the alchemist to begin his great work. Yoda, for his part, with his enigmatic teachings and his deep connection to the Force, represents the more esoteric aspect of this spiritual guide. Together, they transmit occult knowledge, the Force, to Luke, facilitating his process of individuation and enlightenment. They don't just teach techniques, but help Luke to understand the nature of reality, to overcome his fears and limitations, and to find balance within himself. This is the essence of the Mercurius role in alchemy, to guide the initiate through the stages of transformation to final realization. Now, let's turn to the great antagonist of the saga, Emperor Palpatine. At first glance, Palpatine is simply the villain, the leader of the Galactic Empire who seeks to dominate the galaxy. But from an alchemical perspective, he takes on a much more complex and symbolic role. Palpatine can be interpreted as the embodiment of the shadow in the alchemical process, the great obstacle that must be confronted and overcome for transformation to take place. In alchemy, there is a process called calcinatio, which involves burning and destruction. It is a necessary, albeit painful, stage on the road to transformation. Palpatine, with his Force lightning and corrosive nature, symbolizes this process. He is the purifying fire that tests the heroes, forcing them to face their inner shadows. His presence in the saga is not just as an adversary to be defeated, but as a necessary catalyst for the transformation of the other characters, especially Luke and Vader. Without the pressure and challenge that Palpatine represents, our hero's alchemical journey could not be complete. Finally, we can't stop talking about Leia Organa, a character who brings a crucial balance to the saga. From an alchemical perspective, Leia embodies the feminine principle, often referred to as Sophia in alchemical texts. Sophia represents divine wisdom and the earthly aspect of creation. In contrast to the more active and celestial male principle, Leia is not just a princess or a rebel leader. She is the necessary counterpoint to the masculine aspect represented by Luke and other characters. Her presence brings balance to the narrative, just as the feminine principle is essential to achieving balance in the great alchemical work. Leia is a figure of action and morality, crucial in uniting and balancing the opposing forces. She represents the intuitive wisdom and connection with the Earth, or in this case, the planets and peoples of the galaxy, that complements Luke's more spiritual and abstract quest for the Force. When we examine Star Wars through this alchemical lens, we see that the saga transcends simple science fiction storytelling. It becomes a tale rich in symbolism, reflecting the ancient traditions of spiritual transformation and self-knowledge. Each character, each conflict, each journey takes on a new layer of meaning, mirroring the inner processes of transformation that we all experience in our own lives. This interpretation invites us to look beyond the special effects and epic battles. It challenges us to consider our own journeys of personal growth, our inner conflicts between light and dark, and our search for balance and wisdom. Star Wars, seen in this way, is not just a story from a galaxy far, far away, but a reflection of our own human quest for meaning, transformation, and enlightenment. If you want to go deeper into your connection with the Force, in the commentary attached to this video, there is a step-by-step guide to starting from scratch and reaching a deep state of meditation. May the Force be with you.